under our form of government is to abolish a law which cannot be enforced, a law which the people of the country do not want enforced. Prohibition cannot be enforced for the simple reason that the majority of American people do not want it enforced and are resisting its enforcement. That being so, the orderly thing to do under our form of government is to abolish a law which cannot be enforced, a law which the people of the country do not want enforced. Prohibition cannot be enforced for the simple reason that the majority of American people do not want it enforced and are resisting its enforcement. That being so, the orderly thing to do under our form of government is to abolish a law which cannot be enforced, a law which the people of the country do not want enforced.
Welcome to the CKZ show. What's going on, everybody? I'm excited for tonight's show. We don't have a guest tonight, and that's okay. We planned that on purpose. We're doing a little bit of a special show tonight for you guys. We've got the Garden City, Finney County, Southwest Kansas ballot. We're going to kind of go over it and break it down a little bit. We're not going to spend a lot of time on each candidate, but we want to give a little bit, a couple sentences to everybody, let you know who's in there. That way, if you don't know who you're going for yet, you can get a little bit of an idea as to where to go to find out more at the very least. So, we've got Kent with us tonight. He's
What's going on?
Dapper. We got Caitlin all set to take us off into we're about the halfway point of season 2, maybe.
Y'all, it's episode 13.
We're creeping up on it.
Yeah. A few
Welcome
more to go
back.
Anyway.
If you've joined us before, thank you for your time and feedback, and welcome if you're new here. Be sure to like and follow, subscribe, share, and let us know your thoughts as we carry on, preferably in the form of as many comments and reacts to other comments as you can. Facebook always does a major crackdown on visibility during election cycles, especially if your content is politically inclined. So we don't mind if you sad or angry face us either. If you want to keep seeing us on your timeline, interaction is key. You can also set your notifications to ping you when we go live.
Absolutely. Yep. Everybody, welcome to the show. This is going to be awesome. We've got some new stuff going on. Last week it was kind of scratchy. Caitlin fell off a little bit, and so look at her. We upgraded big time over at the B-Grill house.
And then scoot back up to use my mic. I mean, my mouth.
Yeah,
It's a good
absolutely.
time.
Crystal clear.
Yeah,
Like it.
it's like
Yeah.
having a whole new person on this show.
I
It's
know.
like,
Now I can argue louder. That's fun for me.
Or at least at
Absolutely.
the same volume.
Yeah. Touche.
So, talking a little bit about Garden City and things that are coming up. Have you guys seen the forecast for the weather here lately?
But,
Oh my gosh, it
daylight
looks like
savings is coming.
It is. Yeah, is this the last time? Didn't they vote it out? Is this the last time we'll ever have
They
to...
voted it
I
out?
think we had that debate every year.
No, I
Did
think
we vote on
it's
it?
over this year or next year. I can't remember.
Are you
but
for real?
I think,
Someone
yeah,
fact
I'm
check
dead
us.
serious. Yeah, please do.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere. It's this year or next year. It's done.
that
No
would be
more
amazing.
daylight savings time. But yeah, there's supposed to be some storms coming in through western Kansas, so you might want to keep your eye on the radar. And
Ooh, the
Felt a
mythical
bit
water.
misty today.
the mythical water may be coming, along with some pretty big hell. It's pretty crazy.
Yay.
So yeah, Lisa, no, not a stupid question at all. We're going to talk a little
That's a
bit
great
about
question.
that tonight, and as we go through it, we hope you'll ask us a little bit more. But yeah, we'll get to that here in a little bit, and we're looking forward to it.
No, that's
So-
why we want to kind of do this is because there's some confusing stuff on the ballot this time.
Yeah,
We need to
it's
take a look
absolutely
at
on
it.
purpose.
Let's kick it off with some events real quick. Caitlin, what do you got first?
Absolutely. Saturday at 7 p.m., there's the Banner Art Auction 2022. Flat Mountain Brewhouse is hosting the 2022 Banner Artists. Come find your favorite artwork and support the artist community with a bid. Tickets can be bought at Garden City Arts, Garden City Downtown Vision Office, or via the link we will paste in the comments. Proceeds from the Banner Art Project will benefit future public art projects to enhance the downtown district of Garden City, Kansas.
All right, Kent, what we
And
got
coming
next?
up Saturday, November 12th, it's a Veterans Day parade. The floats are due down at the 3I parking lot at 9 p. Or it's not the 3I anymore. It's the Finney County Fairgrounds, starting at 9 a.m. And
Showing
the
your
parade
age.
begins at 10 p.m. Yeah, exactly.
AM.
I've been around a
Sure.
little while, but that'll be a lot of fun. Head downtown, check out the parade this Saturday at 10 a.m.
Saturday. Good. That's not this Saturday. Next Saturday.
Oh, that is next
Yeah,
Saturday, November
next
12th.
Saturday.
Yeah, I'm way
Yeah,
ahead.
there wasn't
That's
too
10
many
days away.
events going on in November. I took a look around, but you got Thanksgiving. Everybody's traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot to plan out. We had a lot of fun last month. Halloween went really well. Did you guys get a lot of trick or treaters?
Yeah?
No.
No.
We did not. No, we were talking about it in a group, if you don't mind interrupting the events, but there were so many events, so many trunk or treats in
Yeah.
Garden City. It's so awesome. You know
It
what I
was.
mean?
It was
And,
really cool.
by the end of Saturday night, I think kids were just tuckered out. There was another one at the Methodist Church on Halloween that was packed, in Cornerstone, I believe. So, Garden went all out, and there were lots of places. It's kind of, that home-to-home, knocking on doors to get candies kind of dying out. It's not what it was like when we were kids, you know what I mean? You had to work hard for
Yeah.
your candy.
We see, there's still a lot of traffic with like visiting people, friends and family that all over town. That's kind of the thing. But we had
Yeah.
speak to the tuckered out part. My girls were definitely, by the time they were all done, I think we turned off the lights at 8:45 because no one else was coming by. So that was really nice.
Yeah.
There was like this lull between 6 and 7 until it got dark, and then once it got dark, it was
Game on.
Yeah, Holcomb was busy. I went through a lot of candy.
good.
Was it?
Good.
You had a lot of fun hanging
Yeah,
out,
we like your
kid.
dinosaur.
Yeah, it was fun. I
We
always
should have
love
had a
Halloween.
picture up for that. Tell everybody what you did for Halloween, Zach, and how you greeted
Oh.
trick-or-treaters.
I got a inflatable dinosaur that was looked like Spider-Man, and it was definitely a hit. And I gave extra candy to any Spider-Man. So
Nice.
that's how we roll at our house. Okay,
I like our favorite
so we got International Game Day. It's going to be at the library on November 12th. Starts at 9 a.m. runs till 3 p.m. It's They're going to have board games, video games, yard games, live action role-playing games, and more. So whatever your fancy is, go check it out. Library's always got such cool events.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive into this ballot. Where we want to start?
I think that, before we get going, I think we should talk a little bit about, how we vote. What we're about to talk about is going to be a little opinionated. We have
probably a lot opinionated.
Articles and stuff, to share. And we want you guys to make an informed decision. Don't take our word for it. Go out and research candidates. Find everything that you can to make an informed decision. We're not always going to be right. And we're not always going to agree in our group either, which is kind of awesome, I think. A lot of times it's hard to talk to people about our political points anymore because everybody, I've seen this, I've read that, well, it's this way, it's that way, and I've made up my mind, and, it's just a juggernaut of conflicting ideas, and people just don't want to talk about it anymore, or they do talk about it and they end up fighting, and, everybody goes a separate different way, and we all have a different idea.
We've had some good little spats.
Oh, we've had some. Yeah,
and it's great that the next morning we can always tell each other we love you. Hey, let's do it. It's another day.
Absolutely. I like that we invest in those conversations and do try to listen to each other. We're both positive and critical and do our best to do that because we are friends. And like you said, once the conversation has lulled, then we move on very easily, and somebody pops in with a joke usually, and we're off.
Yeah, exactly. So again, we're going to talk a little bit about what we think, what we feel about this upcoming election, and how we decide to do things. We're all unaffiliated voters. We're not beholden to either party's ideology. It was an interesting conversation because for the most part, all of us like to say that we've researched the candidate and we want to vote for a candidate. And if there isn't a candidate that represents us enough, and we don't say fully because, we all agree, I believe, that, no candidate is ever going to represent our individual thoughts and feelings 100%.
But they don't even pick candidates who support the majority of what the United States.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm.
As far as at least
a lot of
South
times
Park.
These parties put out just crazy candidates, and you don't want to vote for either one of them. So we write in.
I was going to say, South Park did it best when they had the episode where they had to vote between a turd sandwich or a douchebag, and that's literally what your choices are. You got which do you prefer? And it's like neither.
Neither
I don't want
gives
anything to do with that. Can we get a human being?
Right.
An actual
lizard person.
Yeah, somebody that's just not humanity. Full of a national party scripted line, a bag. That's all they are, is this mirage of what Washington is trying to put out, I think it's important that candidates represent us and who we are and connect with you on that level. And I think that some of the candidates, someone that we even spoke to, missed that opportunity with some of us on the show. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be an interesting conversation coming up. So let's just dive right into it. So
do we want to start with the highest office, or do we want to start the lowest office and give the local person a little bit more attention?
Yeah, let's start local.
Okay, let's go local. District 5. Elva Madrid, and
great interview.
She did a wonderful interview, and she's running against Larry Jones in District 5 for county commissioner. Is it Larry Johnson? I'm sorry. Yes.
Your bias is showing.
I don't have it in front of me.
To learn his name.
I don't have it in front of me. I'm so sorry, guys. We spoke to Elva, so I do have that bias there.
No, I think she did. Not only did she give a great interview, but she brings things to the table that you don't normally see in candidates in our area. Like she is bringing Latino representation, and even when I was trying to run for office, which I will never do again, that was a stupid idea. But I wanted to connect with the Hispanic community, but at the end of the day, these baby blues are not Hispanic, and
Right.
it's just obvious, and that's a community that's very gated, and so Elva has an in there that I hope she brings voters to the table that we wouldn't normally see.
And just to remind viewers that we asked her a direct question about Troy Unruh, who's famous on our show, and she's the only
The only
person with that kind of notoriety that gave her honest opinion, and that was really refreshing. That was really
willing
refreshing.
to say out loud, no, politicians shouldn't continue to serve office after stealing. That seems bad.
Yeah.
Seems
You know, she
Does
spoke
seem
to a code of ethics too, which we've talked a little bit about that. They should have for exactly that. I like her too because she's younger. She talks about events and restaurants and trying to bring more entertainment to the area as well.
Right, she's
which-
relatable to all of the generations. So
Yeah.
Sure.
the ones who are older than her and the ones who are younger than her. So that's quite an advantage, and I hope she gets a chance.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
when we put the ballot up there, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to see that or not.
You can on full screen. On
Okay.
ours, and it'll be
But,
just fine. So let's just bring it up.
If we're looking at the bottom of the page there, we got Bob Lewis. He's running by himself, so it's probably a safe bet he's going to win that election. Personally, I will probably fill the blank spot. I like to write in funny characters on places where I don't agree with either candidate. Bob Lewis looks like he would put up a competition with Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. I'm in District 123. You can write me in. I don't think you'll. So the ballot that you are seeing is for Ward 10. So not everybody's ballot watching this show is going to look like that. Zach, you will not have. Yeah, you will.
Sure.
Yeah, Bob Lewis is.
Bob Lewis is
District
in my
123.
district. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Holcomb is 123.
So
But yeah, I
where
wanted
did
to
you
make
get?
that clear.
Where did you get your sample ballot from, Kent?
If you go to finneycounty.org, you can find election information there. Like early voting, you can find that there as well. And you can also get a PDF of your a sample ballot there, so you know exactly what you're going to be walking into when you head into the voting booth on November 8th.
Some of those smaller races might be different for you, and if you have questions,
Yeah.
if you want to hear our opinion on it and we don't talk about that person and it's on your ballot, feel free to message us on Facebook and one of us will absolutely give you an opinion. We're full of them. We got opinions.
Aye.
Full of something anyway.
Absolutely.
There is this house in town that I have to go by frequently, and it's like Bob Lewis, Jerry Moran, Derek Schmidt, Chris Kobach, all of them. Just in a line. I'm like, I mean...
It's the Republican Infinity Stones.
I don't even know how you get a hold of those signs half the time. I have to beg people.
That's one thing I do want to say is I felt like Republicans did a better job getting out to Western Kansas and Southwest Kansas. So you have to give them kudos there. They were here. Their presence was felt.
And you have to give a shame on you to the Democratic side, because having been on that side of things, they know that Western Kansas is Republican, and they're not willing to spend any money to try and move the needle in their direction at all. They're just not willing to do it.
Schmidt put a post out today about Laura Kelly not being willing to have a debate here in Garden City, Kansas. It was supposed to be today.
She
and
had
yada,
one
yada,
during the
yada.
last campaign, and I'm not even a Laura Kelly fan.
She did. But
Derek
he said
Schmidt
that she
wanted to come out here.
She refused to debate him here in Garden City, which would have been today. And so he came out here anyway and met with the Garden City Chamber of Commerce and their ambassadors, because the Chamber of Commerce would have put that debate on. And I have no doubt in my mind that the Chamber of Commerce tried to get that debate here in Garden City. I think they do a good job.
Every year, every cycle.
They do. Yeah, I think they do a great job with what they try to do and the information they try to bring to Garden City during election time. And so I have no doubt that Laura Carey. I have no doubt Laura Carey declined, that invitation from them, and it didn't happen this year. And that's kind of stinks in my opinion.
Boo.
You know what I mean?
That was when Laura Kelly originally ran. I had a real hard time supporting her. Like, I followed the primary very closely, and I followed every candidate, took notes on every debate, and to pick who I wanted. And she was always the bottom tier of the people I liked because she's so soft-spoken. She didn't have any firm ideas. She just kind of, we're talking about cannabis now? Yeah, I'll support cannabis. And the foster kids, you want to save the? Sure, we'll save the foster kids. And it was, I just didn't see a fighter in her, and it's turned out exactly like I thought it would. She's very soft spoken. Every ad is Derek Schmidt is bad. Derek Schmidt is bad. Derek Schmidt supported Brownback. Derek Schmidt supported Brownback. Most of the people that have turned of voting age didn't know who Brownback was. They need a reason to vote for you. If you want people to vote,
that's a great point.
They want to go and vote for something, not against something. Every election is going to have a boogeyman that you have to vote against.
It's been one of the things we've talked about in our private chats is how these elections are funded, how the candidates are funded.
Yup, you better believe that's what I go look up.
And you have to wonder how many of those ads Laura Kelly paid for and how many were paid for by PACs. And who were in those PACs? Were they Republican PACs that were paying for those? Or were they Democratic PACs? I mean, it happens on both sides. And, I think that's a travesty, too, because that takes away from the candidate. Would you agree? I mean...
Oh, yeah. Plus, you don't know who's funding these things. And I think super PAC should be illegal, and all funding needs to go directly through candidate campaign, because we have laws that cap things like $2,000 donations per month and things like that. But those rules don't apply to a super PAC. So the super PAC's not supposed to communicate, and you're not supposed to get caught. That's the whole thing of it.
Yeah.
But so it's Laura Kelly versus Derek Schmidt are the two big candidates. Dennis Pyle is also in there. He's running as an independent. We learned a little bit about him. We found on Reddit, somebody went through each and every candidate and put a few paragraphs about each one in Kansas, and they did a really good job. There's obviously a bias in there, and anybody who says that something's posted without a bias is lying or blinded by their own bias. Anyways, Dennis Pyle is an independent. His professional experience includes working with grain and cattle. In 2016, Pyle's endorsements included Kansans for Life, National Federation for Independent Business, Kansas Chamber, Kansas Realtor PAC, KSRA PAC, and NRA. So I would say definitely some right-leaning.
He actually tried to primary against Derek Schmidt. He did primary against Derek Schmidt.
And failed.
And I don't think he got on the ballot because there were some questionable things. Something crazy happened, and anyway, that's how he chose to become an independent to run. Not what a typical third-party candidate looks like, in my opinion, with the independent there, which is sad, because we had such a strong independent movement in Kansas the last gubernatorial election.
Right. But I did find Seth Cordell to be interesting, the libertarian that's running. And I don't mean to glaze over Kelly and Schmidt. I'm just, at this point in the game, you've definitely heard of those two, I would think.
Yeah, let us know if you have specific questions. But
if you have a specific question you want us to go over, by all means, please. But
Derek Schmidt is highly responsible for a lot of the amendments that have been put up, and so if you don't know that, he tries to grab power all the time. So it'll be a lot like that.
He supports Brownback, if you haven't heard. I don't know if you've heard that. He does support Brownback.
That's important. We're going to go back to Brownback. Don't forget it.
But there were
Cordell.
some questions on Seth Cordell that I found super interesting. This interviewer asked what should be done about Kansans dealing with high costs, and he said a large factor in the high price of goods is the lack of local competition, and he thinks easing tax regulations on small businesses will help with that. Abortions, he voted no on the amendment. He said his personal views regarding abortion align fairly well with the current standards. So probably not as far left as I would go with it, but he says he wouldn't actively seek to change anything as what it is currently. He's not a supporter of canned care. He believes the driving force behind destruction of our healthcare system is governmental interference. And just because I love my 2 cents and throwing it around, universal health care controlled by the government is the only way to take care of all citizens in the community, and you'll never change my mind on that, but you can fight me on it. I'd love to debate about it.
As someone who's personally been eligible for the canned care services, that's an incredibly important service, not only for people that are our age, but if you have children, they're eligible usually as well, depending on the reasons that you're eligible or not eligible. So
to be fair, he did say that he would not seek to cancel canned care, but rather to strive to build an economy where it's no longer needed or used.
Okay, thank you for the clarification, because I don't know what expanded means. It's quite it's
we're talking about the Obamacare expansion that went to the states that we refused to do and have lost probably over $1 billion at this point by not participating in. I don't fact check me on that I made that number up, but I know we've lost hundreds of millions of dollars by not participating in that program, just because it's literally money that the federal government says, here, use this to take care of your citizens medically, and we said no, that's a Democrat money and we don't like it. Okay, anyway, back to our candidate Seth Cordell. He was asked about recreational marijuana. He supports the full legalization of marijuana. He says study after study shows that it's much safer than other currently legal recreational drugs. And secondly, the economy impact of the state would be incredible.
Hear, hear.
And then he says not to mention the regulations on the hemp industry, which are preventing it from being a viable crop, would be dramatically would change our state dramatically if we were to modify that. He was asked to share thoughts on transgender athletes in sports, and I said, I think the issue of transgender athletes in sports is not the business of the government. It should be up to the school who they allow on a team, and should be up to the sanctioning body if they want to allow it in their contests. The Kansas High School Sports would be the KSHSAA, which should be making that decision. I 100% agree.
The government arguing about this is yet another example of overreach and inefficiency.
Right.
Sorry,
I kind of took over there. Do we want to keep going on that, or do we want to move on?
I think
I like this.
He's seems like a pretty good candidate there. Out of the others that are available.
And don't get me wrong, I don't think he has a snowball's chance in hell of winning, but that doesn't change the fact that if somebody supports my ideals better, then I would absolutely vote for them. If they have policies I'm willing to support, I'm not willing to go and vote for somebody because I think the other person's policies that they support are completely the antithesis to everything I believe. I don't vote against people. I vote for people.
Same. I love this. What are the key education issues in Kansas for K-12 and for universities? He said, we need to eliminate standardized testing as a metric for success. They are not an accurate predictor of future success and take way too much class time to prepare for. K through 12 needs to adapt to the new demands of a modern workforce and focus more on technological and vocational programs.
Yeah, Steve, again, there sounds like a great guy. So you have Laura Kelly, Democrat, Derek Schmidt, Republican, Mr. Pyle as the independent, and Steve Cordell here as the or Seth Cordell, I'm sorry, as the libertarian. To me, I don't know if I'm going to vote here for a specific candidate on the list. I would lean probably more towards Seth.
Yes, I like him a lot. Here is this is the type of stuff that goes on in my brain when I'm trying to decide who to vote for. There is this part of, so we know that negative campaigning works. And so that really dredges up a lot of fear mongering, and there are a lot of narratives that are told to proselytize to other voters to get you to vote the way that they want to. And just another public service announcement, please do your own independent research on this stuff. And if we haven't yet, provide this link for this document, because it's very many pages long, but it goes through the whole ballot. So there are links inside of them as well.
I
that
will
you can
post
go.
that document right now in the comments.
Do your own work. But so one of the issues around the judges, and that we have 13 that were voting to retain or vote to not retain, is that if Derek Schmidt wins, do you want him to have that many opportunities to install somebody that way? And I think that is a scare tactic narrative. There are poll articles that I've read about how that's going, but there are a lot of steps in the process of selecting who becomes a judge for us to vote to retain or not to retain. And statistically, people vote to retain all of their judges. But the issue becomes also that there are, without regular elections for these positions, some of these people can have lifetime appointments. So if you're voting, if you don't want to retain them, that opens up a seat for election. I believe not election, appointment. But at least there's a change in that area. So I think that Laura Kelly will win, but I want to vote for the Libertarian. That's
absolutely, you're right.
Yeah, there's so much strategy that can be
that can go into an election to to sway voters. And the judge's aspect of this election, I think, is a very important part of your vote here. And it is a scare tactic, but it is also the truth. If they all go out and there's 6 or 7 seats available, they get filled. And in a Democratic or Republican held House or Senate could push through a bunch of laws real quick, and we could go one way or the other awfully fast.
Yes, but it is not as easy as just the governor becoming elected and then automatically appointing who he wants. There is the assisted appointment process, or the Bar Control Commission. There's the gubernatorial appointment of judges, and then there's a partisan election of judges that involves, let's see here. I had the list somewhere.
But that's
sometimes
after
lawyers.
Correct. They go through
that is the whole process.
They go through a bipartisan committee, and then 3 or 4 of them are selected, and the governor picks from that pile that gets through.
Everything I just listed comes before. That's the process of choosing that many people, and then. So all I'm saying is there are opportunities for that to go.
So on judges, my personal opinion is I believe in term limits, so I'll be voting out judges regardless of what happens. I can't predict the future, and what happens. But I don't think any judge should get a lifetime appointment ever. No. And I'm a supporter of term limits, so that's just where I'm going to vote regardless.
Too. As an uneducated voter in years past for myself, most of the times I would just go in and vote yes for the judges, because I'm just like, I don't know who they are. I don't know what goes on there. Somebody else put them there, maybe for a reason. I'm just going to leave them alone. You know what I mean? And I don't know, yes or no. That but go ahead.
And I was just saying, if a bunch of bad ones get in there, well, guess what I'll vote for the next time I'm in there? For them to go away.
Yeah.
And certainly have done our research.
4 years is a long time. Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
It is. 4 years is a long lesson. Maybe we get viable
really
candidates worth voting for.
That's the biggest problem. The biggest issue that I think of most voters think face. Is none
Yeah.
of these people align with them, and they really don't want to vote for any of them. They're forced into being shamed for not wanting to vote for one of them for whatever reason or another. You know what I mean? Because now these guys all suck. I'm gonna write in somebody else, and people are like, for whatever reason or another. And their reason's always right.
Okay, and so in that same document, there's Supreme Court links and Court of Appeals links, and so you can see how many. So these are appointments by governors: Laura Kelly, Kathleen Sebelius, Laura Kelly. There's one Bill Graves, one Sam Brownback. Then it's Sebelius again, Laura, Sam Brownback, Joan Finney from the 80s, yes, Kathleen Sebelius, and Laura Kelly. So most of those appointments have gone to Democrats in the first place.
It's kind of strange.
Well, in Kansas, it really depends on if it's individual votes that are counting, then it'll usually go Democratic because by mass of people, we have more left-leaning people. It seems to tend to be, but just because we have a few big cities in Kansas. But if it goes by county, it'll always go Republican because land doesn't vote, but we allow it to.
Yeah.
So I believe Judge Caleb Stegall is somebody who voted in favor of the values in both. I think there were others. I'll have to find that list and link it in the show in the comments afterwards, if I can find that. There were more involved in that decision, if that's one of the issues that you're looking at. But again, somebody did a very good job pasting in all of these links, and so there's your opportunity to get
we'll talk a little bit more about the judges as we move on. Okay. So, the next ballot position was Secretary of State. There's Jenna Repass, who's the Democratic. The incumbent is Scott Schwab, Republican, and Colleen Lang as the Libertarian candidate. What do you guys know about it, and how do you feel about this race?
Very little.
Yeah, I think Secretary of State is, when I think of Secretary of State, I always go back to Chris Kobach and what he did there, and what happens in that office, and how we vote, and where we vote, and and to make sure our elections are safe and legal. It's a very important position. Scott Schwab was elected to it in the last election cycle, so this would be his second term if reelected. On it, I think he's done a pretty good job. He's fighting his own party to keep ballot boxes. That was one of the Attorney General candidates' opposition was ballot boxes, getting rid of those, and Schwab's a huge proponent of that. So,
Schwab also opposes legalization of medical marijuana, saying this would be an attempt to legalize marijuana and it has no benefit for pain management. All it does is make you crave another bag of chips. That's one of the most ignorant.
That's not his purview as Secretary of State, though, either. You know what I mean? So that is a personal thing, and
I'm sorry, though, if you're a Republican and you're pro-capitalist and you're not in favor of legalizing marijuana, why?
So,
like I said, you're being a bad capitalist.
Let's just talk about this. If the Democrats think that Scott Schwab is a bad candidate, and they wanted Jenna Repass to win, the three of us are very politically, I think, we kind of keep our ear to the ground when it comes to politics, especially locally. That's kind of why we started a whole podcast and all of that.
Right.
And the three of us don't know that much about any of them. It just tells me how hard the Democrats are willing to fight for that one. I haven't seen a commercial. I haven't heard any. I have heard a million times. Derek Schmidt supported Sam Brownback, and they've spent millions of dollars on ads like that. Hulu,
that's the problem
YouTube,
that you see
cable
with
TV.
Party line voters, a lot of people don't vote down ballot, and this is a down ballot position. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And
I'm saying it's a matter of priorities.
Yeah, right.
And I don't feel like they had any priority on that.
Yeah, and Scott Schwab does have a lot of personal things, if he was running in a position such as governor or attorney general, I'd probably have a stronger opinion against Scott Schwab. But he's done a good job as Secretary of State.
He has not done as bad as Kobach. Let's put it like that. It's a
He
low
hasn't
bar.
sued-
It's a low
He
bar.
hasn't sued so many people.
He hasn't hired his own law firm, his own self, to defend himself as the Secretary of State,
Wow.
Or
and
been
then
ordered
bill
to
the
go
state
back.
and the taxpayers to pay for it,
Right.
and then do such a bad job that a judge says you need to go back to school, and I'm ordering it. And then get a subpoenaed for not going to those classes and being ordered to do it. Like they literally had to escort him to class.
Yeah.
It got that bad. So, again, nobody in this room is going to be a Kobach supporter anytime soon. We will
True.
all agree on
So
that.
coming in after Chris Kobach, anybody could have done a really good job probably. But
Right.
he has done a lot to defend open elections, and get them open, and I do like that.
I will say that during COVID, the mail-in ballot program worked very efficiently, and that's probably more a Dory compliment than a Schwab compliment.
Sure.
But Dory is our local county, not treasurer.
Government,
What is her position? County
she's our clerk.
county clerk. Thank you. And she does a fantastic job. We love her.
Absolutely.
So let's touch on. We had Jimmy Beard on. Tracy Mann declined to come onto the show, so I don't know much about Tracy.
This would be his second term. If elected again for it, he's your typical Kansas Republican. Kind of runs around in the Roger Dodger.
Him and Marshall.
Roger Marshall, Dr. Marshall. It's kind of where I know him from. That's kind of where my opinion has stayed on him. His opponent's Jimmy Beard. He's from Garden City. He's a school teacher. He did come onto the show. He did talk to us, and he did, speak to us pretty bluntly. And I think he's got a pretty good thumb on the pulse of politics in Kansas and where he stands as a candidate. And I would fully support Jimmy in any position on this ballot. I believe. Anyway.
Just him being a teacher alone gives him a in touch to the community.
Yep.
That makes him worthy of voting for. He's lived on a salary that is realistic to people that are struggling in Kansas, and it's not like he's going to be a person that's here for the money. He
is educated, and he is an average Kansan, and I think that makes him the most qualified person on this ballot, in my opinion. He could go in there and do horrible things. I don't know, but so far he looks great and fantastic. Jimmy's an awesome guy.
He interviews
Yeah,
very
I
well.
get that he is running because it is so frustrating that that we don't have representation for exactly those things. At the dinner that he was at with Mark Holland, he described some personal things regarding his family, and they had a really, really hard time in the healthcare system, and that good old saying that everybody's one or two paychecks away from, or sorry, like one emergency visit away from possibly
$200.
homelessness. So.
Yeah.
You're always a lot closer to being homeless than you are to being a millionaire.
Oh, okay. So Lisa's asking again about the vote, yes or no, and I think we can skip.
Let's
to
dive
that.
into it. Yeah, let's dive.
So there's
Okay.
HCR 5014 and HCR 5022. That's not really important, just if you're wanting to look those up. Let me just make sure I know which one's which here. Okay, so 5014 is legislative oversight of administrative rules and regulations. So this is all this jargon, and we'll try to discuss this here. Whenever the legislature, by law, has authorized any officer or agency within the executive branch of government to adopt rules and regulations and have the force and effect of law, the legislature may provide by law for the revocation or suspension of any such rule and regulation or any portion thereof upon a vote of a majority of the members then elected and appointed and qualified in each house. So the explanatory statement, the purpose of this amendment is to provide the legislature with oversight of state executive branch agencies and officials by providing the legislature authority to establish procedures to revoke or suspend rules and regulations. So I like, by that, this is sarcasm, the wording of that specifically, because it says the purpose is to include oversight, and to my understanding, it does the opposite. What it's doing is giving authority to the legislature to overturn the state executive branch, and the checks and balances process be damned.
Yeah.
So I'm voting no.
And again, which question is that? Let's be clear, because I was a little confused there, and I know I'm a little slow, so I'm glad you broke it down very well for me. But this is question 1, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so
Cool.
we're
So
going.
question 1.
We're going no on question 1 because it's a manipulation. It's a power grab.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Plain and simple. They are trying to make it easier for them to take over power.
To do more extremism.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you don't like that, vote no. Okay, let me open this other one. So 5022 has to do with sheriff's election. So I won't have to read all this here. The jargon is also fun and, again, weird on purpose. So currently in Kansas, we're allowed to do several types of elections with the sheriff's office, including voting as a community to not elect a sheriff's office. And the only county that's done that in Kansas has been Riley County, and they switched to a more conglomerate system where they're the people who enforce the laws in their area are run by several different services. So it's a lot like the model if you'd like to reform law enforcement, that they've gotten other community services involved, like social workers and things to help in those specialized areas. So it's not just all on the law enforcement specifically to be in charge of every public service that needs to happen in their community. So basically this is saying, though, that they want to mandate, there's that word all the time, that every county in Kansas has to elect a sheriff. So it would forever remove our opportunity to say, no, we don't want a sheriff in our community. We have to have elections. I believe it's every 4 years.
Anything recently in 2022, it's really, really difficult to remove a problematic sheriff. They really get free reign to do whatever they want, and it's so hard to get them out.
Elections are most often there's nobody that they're running against, so you don't have a choice. The sheriff, is that one of those things where if they're like for attorney for the county attorney position, like you don't have to be a lawyer to be elected as the attorney general? Is that one of those things? Like, I don't think you have to have qualified career history in order to be elected as sheriff. No. So just because they're in that position and on your ballot doesn't mean that they are the most
anybody can apply for those spots. Even attorney general, like you can apply and run for it and have never held any kind of law degree.
Never done anything in the courtroom.
To be a judge, you don't have to have a law degree?
Nope.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
Just have to get elected.
You just have to get elected. That's right. I'm
a no vote.
I'm a no vote on that. I feel like it's another governmental overreach.
Yes. Okay. So the other factor is that if you want to remove somebody from office, so a vote for this proposition would preserve the right for each county that elected a sheriff to amend. Would also direct that a county sheriff only may be involuntarily removed from office pursuant to either a recall election, which Zach said is very difficult to do, or a writ of quo warranto initiated by the Attorney General. So the Attorney General that's about to be elected can...
So I think it's safe to say that in this group, question 1, question 2, we're a double no.
Yeah, we're a double no on the constitutional.
That's a no-go.
Yeah, I don't know. Constitutional amendments really bug me anyway. Why are we changing it?
Yeah.
Changing up our Constitution. It's there for a reason.
Why is
especially when it contains words like mandate. We're going for
Exactly.
less
Oh,
government here, less interference.
That was my word. The language of those. So go read those bills. It doesn't say that exactly. That's my word because that's what it's doing. It's mandating that all the counties have to elect sheriffs from now on. So and I don't know if you guys know this. I'm gonna shout out Cody Johnson who does some more news. There's a great episode about sheriffs in general, and please go watch it because
I'll find it real
they
quick.
have no oversight. Like the sheriff's departments have no oversight. They run themselves. They're not beholden to anybody. There's no accountability. So if you didn't know that, you bet Lisa asks more questions of some things if we were vague or too wordy or
keep us going. So there's one more ballot spot that I think is pretty important that we need to talk about before we end the show, which is the Attorney General for Kansas. There are two candidates on the ballot, Chris Kobach and Chris Mann. We invited both to the show. Chris Mann did come and visit with us here. He did change up some time and stuff on that, but that, I guess that happens for us, but it kind of threw us for a loop, so we didn't get to spend as much time or dive in as deep as we wanted to with some of his questions.
It certainly was in stark contrast to when we did some overbooking and we asked Jimmy and Elva to be available a whole week early, and they were very much inclined to do that. And I realized that that they need the airtime more than Chris Mann does because he's the most watched Attorney General race in the United States. So
I felt like it was a slap to Western Kansas again, though. We always get pushed off, and nobody, so much as cares about,
I guess
us at our audience.
I don't hold it against him that he cut his time short on us, because things happen, whatever. Yeah. But I really would have liked to have pressed him some more on our questions, and Caitlin wrote out some great questions, and absolutely. I feel like he deflected, danced, and politicianed some of those questions.
He did.
And I didn't have the time to do follow-ups.
I will say that if you've seen Chris Mann on one of the debates or our show, you don't have to go watch anything else because it's the same.
So before we go on a Chris Mann tangent, because I know we had a large discussion about him in our group.
We did.
That's kind of but
it wasn't even really
real quick and say fuck Kobach. Fuck Kobach. We're not praising Kobach in any way. Fuck you, Kobach.
No.
Okay?
No.
Decidedly not voting for that man.
I think that, Chris Mann was the canned national candidate, that we spoke about earlier in the show. He is just somebody running against Chris Kobach.
He's a Republican.
That's a great way to
against
put
Chris Kobach. That's the thing. It says right here, he said, Mann said he's a gun-owning supporter of the Second Amendment. As a former police officer, Mann said he understands the need to keep communities safe. Violent offenders should not have access to guns, Chris Mann said.
And just so you guys know, what was Kobach's last office that he ran for?
It was governor.
He ran for governor against Lord Kelly.
Oh my God, no, the one before that. Oh, it might have been the
Secretary of State.
Thank you. It must have been that one. 2016?
Yeah. No, 16 was... Yeah, 16 he was Secretary of State.
Okay. So, it's come out that the DNC, helped fund Kobach's campaign because of his extremism. It's easier for them to win against an extremist. So just so you know, they are not...
That's a smart play in my mind. Yeah. But the right does that with hardcore leftists too. I mean, Bernie Sanders is a great example of that. Republican PACs funded so many things with Bernie because they knew that he was not going to be the guy for their base, the NRA.
Let's also make it clear that the Republican Party wasn't Bernie's enemy, though. It was the Democratic Party that made it extremely clear he is not allowed. The Republicans didn't have to fight him. The Democrats were spending money boosting Donald Trump to make sure he was the choice.
Sure. Sure. Well, that's where the two parties really are different. You know, the Democrats figured out how to do it with Bernie. The Republicans
That's where they really are the
wanted
same
to do the same thing
time.
to Trump, and they weren't successful
No,
at all.
no.
You know, and it ended up being what it is. So
We live in the weirdest timeline.
we do, and you know, and that's what's so disappointing is you have a polarizing candidate like Chris Kobach on the ballot. Where is your superstar? You know,
Yeah.
where's
the
our
person you get
leader?
amped for?
Where is that knight in shining armor that's gonna save us from the big bag boogeyman?
Chris Mann is literally running on this is from his campaign. He was running for attorney general to focus on law enforcement, not politics.
You know,
He's there to be a cop.
You know, Chris Kobach is, you know, the candidate that, you know, is everything that we're all against, but is also that candidate's the prime example for them to force you into voting a way that they want you to, specifically because they know exactly what that person brings. And it's disgusting and it's disheartening.
It's
you
not
know,
really a choice.
It's not
Do you
really
want to vote for the evil guy, or do you want to vote for his assistant manager?
Yeah.
I don't think Chris Mann is anything
Come on, guys,
that
promote
Chris
me.
Kobach could or ever be. I don't think Chris Mann is a shining star. I think Chris Mann follows the law. Whatever the laws is, that's what Chris Mann's going to do.
Chris Mann, you're a Democrat. Biden just said that you need to quit prosecuting low-level drug offenses of marijuana.
I think that he's got it
in his heart
it's
to go
against
the law. What do you do?
I think he has it in him to go after corporations, and he may do something there. But as far as the working man, the working people, I'm not so sure. You know where he's at with that. I think he is on the right in that sense of things, but he does.
We
have
don't
a
know
pretty
because
good
he didn't
record
convince us he's going to do
against the
anything.
corporations.
I was going to say, what wasn't there a specific question? I'm trying to find out if it's on the document about or if I'd have to go back into the specifically about consumer. What are they going to do about consumer fraud, right? And so,
and that was a big point.
I don't remember what Chris Mann said, or that I didn't hear it, or I had dropped out, but or if he answered it in the debate necessarily, but I don't know if you know this, the Attorney General's office has a division that is funded so that they can take people to court who are frauding the government. So that's very confusing language as well, because Derek Schmidt's been very open about, or glorifying the amount of money that they've been able to charge just somebody like me who had, this is in the healthcare system, but, who needed to claim. So I don't know. I didn't get to see any of those trials or anything like that, but so when it comes to law enforcement, that's the kind of stuff they're doing. And the biggest sorts of frauds that happen are because of the corporations who are billing healthcare, or they're making a patient look sicker than they are so that they can bill more healthcare stuff. So when we're talking about fraud, I would like to go after those types of situations.
That was the biggest problem
to the tune
with
of billions
Chris
of
Mann.
dollars.
Yeah,
that was the biggest problem with the Chris Mann interview. We wanted to touch on so many things. Tenderlug had some great comments last week, but we didn't have the time to bring up comments and have him touch on those points and whatnot. We just didn't have the time, and that's not fair to our audience and
right. So my thing was,
you work with the hand you dealt.
I had an expectation that it would, which is my fault, this is on me, that it would go a lot like our other guest appearances have gone, which is the conversation. And if I had known that the expectation from him was to be able to go over his debate points, then I would have gone with a totally different outline. I would have not wasted my time.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, he did spurn us a little bit, when it comes down to the issues, we don't know as much about Chris Mann as we do Chris Kobach. Kobach's on record for a lot of things that we think are hateful and evil.
You should see our chat runs when we get to go in
the one
on
thing
how
we
much
know
we
about
hate Kobach.
we have a whole. He just, there's so many. There are enough things out there that you do know Chris Kobach, and he is a name recognition candidate, and you're gonna either, if you vote for him, I don't know why. That to me is
Most Kansans
extremely
won't.
insane. Chris Mann is not. He's not Chris Kobach.
Here's what I would suggest
and
to
I
our
struggle
audience
here.
on it. If you want to vote for the rightest wing, QAnon, Donald Trump, the whole 9 yards, all the way to the
ultra-mag.
right, in the end zone of the right,
Yeah.
by all means, go Kobach all the way. If you want to vote for a normal Republican, vote for Chris Mann. For some reason, he registered as a Democrat, but you have that option.
Or if you're like me and you're scared shitless of Chris Kobach, vote for Chris Mann. And play the game, and do what maybe they want you to do, maybe they don't want you to do. I don't know.
No
anymore.
naivete about the kind of damage that Chris Kobach would do if he gets elected.
Yeah.
Like he is,
Yeah.
for some reason, has the specific energy and capacity to really just do the most flagrant things, and with no awareness of.
Well, Kobach is literally Kansas's Trump. It's
Yeah.
It's Marjorie Green Taylor.
Marjorie
Yes.
Taylor.
That's who he is.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
She's so
Whatever.
interesting.
She is. That's something I heard today too. Is the odds of her being Trump's running mate are pretty high. So
that would
They
be
would get
hilarious.
elected.
Comedy
Probably.
gold.
They would get elected.
It would be a fight.
People love the clown show. It's like
I know.
we're
I know
voting
when Joe
for
Biden's
reality
got it.
television.
Yeah.
It would be Sarah Palin and McCain all over again.
Yeah. And we're getting late in the show, so we're gonna move it along a little bit more. And there's a couple other ballot positions that we do want to talk about. Here we're not going to spend as much time on them, and which is sad because the political parties don't spend, or our politics, our government don't spend any time talking about these positions necessarily. But we have state treasurer, and today Zach found out that Lynn Rogers was no longer our lieutenant governor. Am I?
Oh, wouldn't he have to resign from the position if he's running for?
No, he was. He stepped down and was reappointed to state treasurer because somebody had resigned. Zach's out. That's what's going on. But yeah, so we have Lynn Rogers. I'm sorry, guys. Zach kind of fell out there, and I was kind of going, "What's going on here?"
I think I lost internet for a moment.
So I was telling our audience that you found out today that Lynn Rogers was no longer our lieutenant governor. And I was kind of talking about how we don't know anything about what's going on in our government, especially in these
they don't let us
down
know
ballot
on that
positions.
stuff.
Yeah,
Why would he run for the spot if he didn't want to stay there?
yeah. As her running mate, and then step down and aside, and
He
be our
went,
state treasurer.
he went to more debates and sites than she did.
He did. He was all over the place.
He was everywhere when I was touring.
But I
Kansas.
believe finance is kind of his thing, though. It's his area of real expertise, and so maybe it just fit better for him, and he felt more comfortable doing something like that. And I think that was out there. But anyway,
The Sir
was the
Steve
only
Roberts
name.
in the Libertarian candidate. He's
Yeah.
a math tutor with his own online math course. So just so
Yeah.
you know, make sure you
Yeah.
read these documents and get into this because
yeah, absolutely. And then there's Steve Johnson. He earned a BS in agricultural economics from the Kansas State University. So I mean that's pretty big for Kansas, agriculture and economics. So, and then there's your commissioners
for
Commissioner
insurance.
Insurance. Vicky Schmidt, who's the incumbent, and Kyle Corcoran. Again, read this document, guys. I don't think any of us really have an opinion, one way or the other, there on them. So the judges, I
Oh,
think
there's
we
the
talked a
State
little
Board
bit-
of Education as well. So
the State Board of
Y'all,
Education.
It looks like it's Dennis Hirschberger. It doesn't look like there's...
There is a write-in campaign going for... help me out, guys. Jean Clifford, for the State Board of Education. Who
really?
lost in her primary by a couple hundred votes. She's extremely popular within the education community here in Finney County and the surrounding areas.
I love that kind of strategy, even if I don't agree with the campaign.
Yeah, so
I like seeing that stuff happen.
It's a bold move, Cotton.
It is a bold move. She does have the name recognition, so I really hope that people will consider writing in Jean Clifford, as I will be there in that position. And then we have our, let's talk about the judges. We talked about a little. You did mention, Slater. Is that Schroeder? No.
Stegall.
So
there are Supreme Court.
Seems to be the most controversial for some reason that I see.
So I think the consensus on Reddit is to vote to retain everybody but Stegall, and so he specifically, I think, was funded or endorsed by all of the people who did value them both, like all of them. So. Quite clear on the these judges are supposed to be nonpartisan, so it's and then there's Court of Appeals, so we have, I think, 6 and 7, 6 on one and 7 on the other,
and there's so many, and it's so hard to spend time to research and know exactly what you're getting onto. Well, some of these aren't going to be on your ballot. They're by the district.
Yes, touche.
That you're seeing if you're looking at the comprehensive list of elected officials that we've shared. Again, this is what your ballot looks like. This is, page 1 of the electric ballot. You'll have, again, United States Senate. We had Mark Holland on the show. He's going up against Jerry Moran and David C. Graham. General consensus around Mark was we really liked him. We thought he was a nice guy.
I do like Mark.
Yeah, I didn't have major issues with him. He's a pastor. I'm an atheist, so we would probably I could find something I don't like about him.
I was going to say, I'm not pro-pastor by any means, pro-clergy.
All in all, he'll do a fine job. He at least answered questions honestly and didn't dance around them, and showed up on time and stayed for his entire set.
And he definitely welcomed, questions outside of the outline type of situation when we threw it at him.
That, we connected with him personally as well on several levels, and I think that was something else that we missed with Chris was we just didn't have a personal connection with him before the show or during, and that kind of hurt a little bit as well.
I really wanted to believe that the person going against Chris Kobach and his name.
I wish it was Mark Holland, to be honest with you. I'd felt a lot better about it.
Well, what I wanted to see, I guess, from Chris Mann was when I read that he was an officer, I wanted him to say as a former officer, I saw the corruption in police departments, and I want to stop it. I want to see, because like Kansas City is having a massive problem right now with their police department.
It's gross.
There's some really disgusting things going on at the Kansas City Police Department, and
it has been historically as well. I mean, if
the Democrats were going to prop up a cop, I at least wanted to see a cop that recognized that there's real
disparity is a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the second page on your ballot here will be, magistrate judge, which is, and this is what I don't get, because this is over in Tribune. Why is this on my ballot here in Garden City? I think the people of Tribune should take.
I don't know anything about the courts, but they're there's like circuit court or I don't want to just make up words, but I think it's got to do with the kind of case.
Yeah, it's the 25th district, but this guy's in Tribune. This person's in Scott City, and then we have Timothy Woods here in Garden City. I know a little bit about Timothy. He's not horrible. how do we feel about lifetime appointments for judges? Because it seems that they, like I said, we said earlier, you just go in and you're like, I don't want to screw anything up. They're there. Might as well keep them there, right? I mean,
But
Right, but arguably,
proof with the same people, they just can't. And they
they're
can
part
go
of the
backwards with
system.
different people, but that's the game,
Yeah.
That's democracy, baby.
Yeah.
they're
Well, guys-
part of the system that's helped. That's helped with the state of things. So if you're interested in some,
Yeah, because we're in the 25th district, but it's amazing to me that, people in Garden City have say over Tribune's judge.
yeah,
It just
Right,
doesn't make any
right.
sense.
that's interesting. I wish I had the opportunity to look into a lot of those questions and to really be knowledgeable about that, but
Yeah. And then you
it's
move
a
on and you
lot.
have-
I mean, like,
You're-
look at our ballots, you guys.
Yeah.
You're not alone if you're overwhelmed. You're not alone if you haven't decided yet. You're not
It's
alone
not
if you have
a
more
lot
questions.
when you have a resource that it is their job to bring that information to you and have it readily available. We are super fortunate that this person on Reddit took the time to do this for us. They don't have, this isn't their job. They just took the time. We don't have a news source that gives a damn about Western Kansas. KSN, I mean, ever since I was a little kid, you only ever heard about Wichita.
Yep.
So we don't have anything out here. The Telegram was our tiniest little thread of news, and the Telegram is Brad Nading, who's a photographer. Love Brad to death, great guy, but he's a
Yeah, he
photographer.
does great work.
He's not a writer, and that's not his job. They just forced him to do it, and he does the best he can.
So if you have any questions about your polling place where you need to go vote on Tuesday, you still can go vote this Saturday from 10 to 2, I believe, at the Finney County Election Office at 311 North Main Street in Garden City, Kansas. Otherwise, it's Super Tuesday. Or it's not Super Tuesday, is it? Yeah, it is Super Tuesday. I think that's what they call the gubernatorial election. So November 8th, if you don't know where to go for that, visit finneycounty.org and the elections tab on that page.
Yes,
or
please don't listen to
ksvotes.com.
those mass texts. Sorry to interrupt you. If you've gotten those mass texts about, especially the one that is asking about your location and then gives you a false location,
Yeah,
don't let any of that stuff
it's been dirty.
redirect you. It has been very dirty.
Also,
Please say that again, Kent. I apologize.
No, it's been absolutely, crazy what was allowed to go out there. And the sad thing is we saw August 2nd, they'll catch he'll do it. They'll publicly sham him for 20 seconds and they'll move on and it'll happen again.
Yep.
So it's a bad problem.
Why would
and-
they quit? There's no repercussions from it.
Yeah.
If you were a marathon runner and you were able to get dropped off halfway through the race and win, why would you not do that? Because nobody ever stopped you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens. They do whatever tactic they can.
Yeah.
We have a Democratic governor who has the ability to go after them for that. We know which campaign did it on August 2nd. But nothing happened. They didn't even get the fine. I figured they would get a fine, a slap on the wrist, and they would just say, hey, that's the cost of doing business. And they didn't even get that. So, of course, they're doing a campaign that's going to tell you a false place to go vote and whatnot.
Yeah.
If you don't know where to go vote and you can't find it, message us. I will find it for you.
If Troy runs for re-election when it's his time, we'll definitely be voices in opposition. Proposed against him. Troy Unruh, I would like to remind our audience, stole over $18,000 from a local nonprofit here in Garden City. Pled guilty to a misdemeanor of less than $1,500, and still sits on our city commission.
Which is always really frustrating because if you're a peon who gets arrested, and yes, I'm talking about inside of our county, but it's very common to be upcharged for what you were arrested for. So for something like that, for those kinds of plea agreements that hide the information,
Good old boy.
that close it down.
To us, it doesn't matter if you stole $2 or $20,000. You don't get to make financial decisions for the community. You are not
Position of
worthy
leadership.
of financial thought.
That's right. If he would step down, now and apologize and decide to run for re-election, and the people of Garden City put him back in, that's his prerogative, and that's on Garden City at that point. And we can criticize the things that he does in office. Can we criticize him for being in office for stealing money anymore? Absolutely not, because Garden City put him back in that position of power. But for this term, it would be absolutely appropriate for him to step down and apologize to the community, to live well. And if he wants to seek re-election at that time, maybe he can. But hopefully, we'd have a code of ethics, a city commission with a backbone strong enough to put in a code of ethics, so that way guys like Troy Andrew cannot sit on our city commission in an election. And also, we did have a post out about USD 457 last week. The information that was gathered through that was there was a meeting with the State Board of Attorneys in regards to our superintendent. And it is hearsay. It's unverified sources. We have not been able to verify or have an on-source record come on to talk to you guys about the things that we're being told. So it is rumor, but we've been told that the school board has 45 days to act on whatever the findings were. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on that. If you do have any information on that and would like to share it with us anonymously or on the record, we would definitely like to talk to you a little bit more.
So we can say, though, that it's not hearsay that there is an investigation going on. We know that, correct?
Yeah, we do know by the filing.
So what the results are and all of that is still pending. Our source wasn't willing to go on the record, which is fine. We're okay with that. We're here to make reports on what we hear, and we give you the facts as we hear them and as they change. And if you think that's wrong, well, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC does that for a living. People pay them to do it. Yeah. So we got some news, we reported on it, and we'll give you updates as we have it.
Yeah. We wish we had more to share. We'd like to be more in depth on it. But it's a tough gig, and you guys will have to bear with us. This show, we like to pride ourselves on going off the cuff, just kind of talking about the things that are on our minds and that bother us. We have lots of conversations about those leading into these shows tonight. But tonight was definitely one of those shows where we just ran with it, and we want to thank everybody for being here tonight. You guys rock. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell everybody about us. Let them know that we're here and ruffling feathers and being agitators. I was called.
Yeah, I would love to see people in other communities doing the same thing, who especially don't have that small town.
Yeah.
And if you're in a surrounding town, I know we talk about Garden City and Finney County a lot. That's because that's our home. But if there's something going on and you're in Southwest Kansas, you want us to bring up, get a hold of us. I would love. I'm not trying to discriminate other communities. It's just hard enough to research our own without a lead.
Yeah, and even in other state decisions that directly affect Western Kansas, like agriculture matters.
It doesn't have to be a political issue either. If you've got a nonprofit group and you're doing some fundraising or something like that, we would love to talk to you as well.
We don't have rules. We don't follow rules.
And with election season winding down, things will get a little stale. Won't be as hot and fiery. Hopefully,
yes, and if you have contacted our show,
fiery, thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry. If you've contacted our show and have been, off the record with your stories, we are still working on those in a revolving sense. To gather more information, so we have not forgotten about you, and it's just it's a lot of investigation to corroborate, so that we don't give a false statement about anything, especially when it's so close to home or if it involves trauma to the community. We want to be very careful about those subjects.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, we won't see you again till after November 8th, Tuesday. Please go vote, whether you vote for a candidate or you write somebody in on every line. Just please go vote and participate in our democracy, and let them know exactly how you're feeling. November 8th, on Tuesday. If you have any questions, please hit us up in a private message. You can hit us up individually or to the show. Again, like, share, subscribe. We'll see you again to talk about the election results next week. Bye.
Thank you so much, true believers. Good night. Bye.
Well. Yeah, test. Better. We'll take a minute to envision it, in the wisdom deriving from a difference of opinion, inquisitive, isn't it? When the picture in the mirror isn't shit, but give it a minute, fix this image and hit the bricks with the viciousness. But don't play, cause one day you'll be saying, you shoulda, coulda, woulda, but my shit just wouldn't drop, cause you wouldn't have, but you're so worried, it was your world. When you hit them with the rhymes, they had no words. Just come back to the flip of the tongue fun that you once had and chuck it like a beer and crush that. Go shave your mustache and write it down, cut that, and so much rap again. Oh, I'm getting tired of that. I don't know anymore what they call that. Getting so you know that something's missing. Let's go show 'em what rap is again. Like taking a step out of your front door for the first time and you want more of the sunshine, but you've been locked away, forgetting you don't care. Listen, is not part of the mission. Just say what you got to say, whether it makes sense. Just to bridge your wrist, spit from the hip, slipping so soft, or splitting your lip. You get a grip, cause as good as your shit is, you know it really isn't a big deal. Cause it'll turn heads bound too. It's your purpose, round two. But you gotta open your eyes and realize it's right here. But to open your mind, you gotta try to fight fear and find a light bright enough to ignite and excite peers. But get their attention, I find. You gotta give them a big boom. You're the fuel, and I got my lighter right here. Oh, I'm getting tired of that. I don't know anymore what they call that. Getting so you know that something's missing. Let's go show 'em what rap is again.